Hey, I am back with another deck, and this time it is red-blue as improved by set 4, and I think this is in contention for the best deck in the current format. Certainly it's the most popular deck on the Pixelborn ladder as of recording, so you've probably seen a lot of it if you've been playing on Pixelborn, and it wouldn't surprise me if other people are making content on this deck. I think that it was originally innovated by Sailor, and this is my version of the list, but it was originally based on one he had posted at some point. I also think there's a lot of tuning and improvement to be done with this list, but let's hop into it to get started. Basically, it is a typical red-blue list, like you may have seen last format, with 4 1 jump ahead, 4 fishbone quill, 3 how far I'll go as ramping cards to propel us into the mid game and late game faster. And then to shore up our early game, we've got 2 Scuttle, which lets us find items, and we've got a pile of items here, some of which I'll get to in a moment, as well as 2 Sisu and 4 copies of Brawl that let us hit small things. And these strength-based removal cards get a lot better with the inclusion of some ice blocks. Now, I know some people are playing as many as 4 ice blocks to reduce the power of characters in play, but the problem is that it's uninkable, and I just find it really difficult to actually find slots for 4 ice blocks. I know a lot of these decks are playing 22, 23 uninkables. That to me is just an untenable number. I just can't bring myself to actually play that many uninkables, so I've cut down to 2 ice blocks, but still, ice block very powerful with cards like Brawl, Meta, Medusa, Sisu, as well as 8-drop Sisu here. And while we're talking about 8-drop Sisu, this is probably the biggest improvement this deck gets as a result of Ursula's return being legal in the format. This is a sweeper. It hits a shockingly large number of things in the format, and it does so as a pretty big body. It's like kind of similar size to Maleficent, right? It's got a little lower strength and willpower, but it has 1 more lore pip, which is crazy. And yeah, I think that this is amazing. It dodges Bare Necessities, it dodges Ursula Deceiver, and so it's very, very good against like the green steel decks and the Emerald Amethyst decks in particular. Also very, very strong against Steel Song, obviously improved by Ice Block, as many deck cards in this deck are. And so we've cut down to 1 Be Prepared. Now, I'm not sure what the exact split between Be Prepared and Sisu is. Maybe you want 5 of these effects total, maybe 3 Sisu, 2 Be Prepared. Maybe it's 2 and 2. I don't really know. You know, that will have to be determined as we go forward. And let's see what else. So I've got 3 copies of Bell as just a super powerful late game threat that closes out the game very quickly. Very, very strong with our 2 copies of Lucky Dime. 3 copies of Grammatala. It's a nice play on turn 3 if you play 1 jump ahead to play Grammatala. But Grammatala is inkable. It's very versatile. Always draws cards, unlike Flaversham. Flaversham is extremely powerful in this deck. It's actually much more consistent than it used to be. In the past, you'd often just have 4 copies of Popsicle that you wanted to sack, and then occasionally Fishbone Quill. You almost never wanted to sacrifice your Lucky Dime to draw cards with Flaversham, but now we've got 2 more ice blocks, and I am playing 1 copy of Medallion Weights. This is definitely up in the air. I don't know if Medallion Weights is good. It's been okay for me. The idea here is that this is kind of a hybrid between something like Maui's Fishhook and like Sumerian Talisman, which we've seen people try to play in these decks before. This could be cut. I'm not really sure how good it is, but I wanted to try it, so it's here for now. As far as late game, to bridge our way to the late game, we've got 4 copies of Maui, obviously one of the best Ruby cards in the game, 3 copies of Madame Medusa, and then 3 copies of Sisu as mentioned previously, 4 copies of Tamatoa, which is just an extremely powerful both card draw engine and game ender. Very, very difficult for steel decks to remove. Can sing Be Prepared, so many things. Tamatoa is amazing. Can get your Lucky Dimes back after they've been destroyed. And yeah, very, very good in this deck. 3 copies of Maleficent. I know a lot of people play 4 copies of Maleficent. For me, I just think that between 3 Sisu, 4 Tamatoa, I'm playing 3 copies of Maleficent. I just don't think you need the 4th, right? You've got 3 copies of Belle. It's just so much late game. The only time you really want the 4th copy of Maleficent is in the mirror match. And yeah, it's nice there, but you have so much overpowering late game that you just don't need 4 Maleficent, and instead I would choose to play another early drop to shore up the early game. But yeah, that's the deck. I mean, basically the idea here is to play some ramp spells, play some early game removal, quickly get to your 6, 7, 8 drops, and then take over the game that way. So that's the deck, and I'm sure you'll be seeing lots of it in this format. So let's hop into some games. Okay, up against Riplungs, playing Blurple. We get to go first, which is nice. Okay, I think Maui might end up being good. I'm not exactly sure what Blurple lists look like these days, but I'll keep it as Ink and or a mid-game play. I just want to keep 1/1 jump and a popsicle. Really looking for a 4-drop more than anything here. It's not quite the 4-drop I wanted. And double Sisu is not where you want to be on the mulligan, but let's see if we can work this one out. Brawl. Not sure how it'll end up being, but we'll give this our best shot. I'm gonna Ink Brawl since we've got a lot of that sort of effect in our hand. Obviously the Sisus are kind of far off, but not sure what else to Ink at this point. Archimedes, okay. Interesting. Tamatoa. Alright. Just gonna Ink the Maui. That's just in case we hit some card draw and end up being able to Ink 2 things next turn. I'm not sure how likely it is, but the bell could also get answered. I would love an Inkable. Really, I just want running Inkables and card draw. All right, we're gonna play that since the Medusa doesn't really do much right now. Okay. Both of those are pretty bad. So I could play the Fishbone so that I can Ink a Sisu. I kind of hate all of my options right now. I'm just going to Ink it. Questing with Bell seems unnecessarily risky since they could just like play character then Fox Mim. So I just won't do that. It's not really worth 1 lore in my opinion. This hand is not shaped up. I've seen 0 card draw. This deck kind of doesn't survive without the card draw. Luckily, we have an answer to Flaversham. Or not. Well, given that these also answer Flaversham, I will just pop this Mim. And again, I don't really want to walk into the Fox, so I'm just going to sit here. Something like How Far I'll Go would be really, really nice here. Flaversham of Our Own would be really, really nice here. Really, just any guess at all would be nice. They Ink a Flaversham, which is maybe a little bit curious to me. But they're definitely outdrawing us. If we hit an Inkable, we're doing okay, though. We didn't. Well, I don't see any reason to hold it back, because we've got so many Sisus anyway. This draw has been atrocious. It's their 3rd Flaversham. I'm a little bit jealous. By a little bit, I mean a lot jealous. And they pick up the snake. All right. May as well get the Flav. We're just going to have to outpower them, I guess. If I could draw a Lucky Dime, that'd be kind of nice. Still just not going to quest with the spell until I can get 5 out of it. I may have missed some lore here or there, but I think the risk would have been too high in my opinion. I'm expecting some Elsas or something to come down here. They're going to need some late game. Cogsworth, not quite. Cogsworth actually pretty bad into Sisu. Wow. That may be a blowout. That's a good draw as well. Yeah. Let's take this. Let's just do this. And the question is whether I ink this Flav just to get 5 lore right here. I think the answer is no. I feel like this is going to be good for 5 lore, probably whatever turn I get it down and no more. Hades. Alright. Still actually somehow in a good spot here. It's kind of a miracle that we're in this game without having any card draw up to this point. Yeah, and they have no sweepers. Tamatoa seems decent. Alright. I'm just gonna keep questing. Sisu put in a lot of work this game. Elsa's definitely good, but we're so close to 20 lore at this point that I just have a tough time seeing them getting out of it. Okay, that's definitely a start. Because Elsa can trade for these Sisus next turn. Let's lead on this. Get some card draw going. It's not so great, although I guess it is a threat. At this point, 1 lore is actually quite useful. Yeah. I guess I'll just play it. I don't see any reason not to. Hey, we took it down. Interesting game for sure. Can't believe I won it, but I'll take it. Okay, we're playing a mirror. And we're going first. Not surprising, I would say, on Pixelborn, this is the most popular deck right now. So you will be playing a lot of mirrors if you play red-blue. Definitely want Flaversham, Fishbone. I think the rest is pretty bad. Obviously, it develops always kind of free. Okay, well, I might actually need that because I don't have any other items to sack, so we'll hold it for now. I guess take Scuttle because I can play it next turn. Although I've been really unimpressed by Scuttle, unfortunately. It just, it misses more often than it should, I feel like, but what can you do? Brawl. I'm gonna ink the Brawl just because I have an answer to Flaversham already. I guess I'll take a dime. Can't hurt. Alright. Well, now we are going to ink a Fishbone. Play a Fishbone. I could sing this one jump, but I don't really want to ink anything else. So I just won't do that. This leaves us open to answering Flaversham if they play one this turn. I don't necessarily want to do that. I would like to get a Flaversham of my own in play. Okay. Looks like I'll have that opportunity. Hey, that's actually great. Ice Block. I don't think it's super important in the mirror, although it is an item I could sack to Flaversham. With that said, I don't have a lot of other stuff in my hand I want to ink, so goodbye Ice Block. Once you get like 2 activations out of Fishbone, it's actually not that important to get another activation, so I can happily sack that to Flaversham if I get the opportunity. With a diamond play, I'm actually happy to quest, and I'll ink this Fishbone. When you know you have the dime, it's nice to just get as much lore as you can. It makes racing much easier. I expect that they're going to be forced to answer my Flaversham here, which should give me time to do other stuff. Indeed they do. Okay, so I think we'll just hard cast. I can just put my dime in play. Maybe that's better. We'll put dime in play. In this matchup, it tends to be important to just land a dime as soon as you can, so you can get chip lore. It's like next turn now I can Medusa their Flaversham and get a lore off dime. Inked a Popsicle. For the record, I assume there's like no chance that inking Popsicle is correct there. I mean, even if you have another one, I just actively try to avoid inking Popsicle every chance I get. Okay, so let's just ink this. Probably should have used the Fishbone to hide what it was, but it doesn't actually matter. Pop this. I'll still hold Scuttleback. I think you could just sack it for a lore and 1 lore off of them, but I don't feel the need to do that right now. We do have an answer to Tamatoa. We can't dime and dragon in the same turn, but that's okay. Sisu. Not really where you want to be. I'll hold it though, because obviously it kills Flaversham and some other things. Let's activate this. Ew. Second dime is pretty good, but it's gonna be tough to use. Okay, I'm gonna take the bell and hope that 1 dime is enough. I do like having second dime though sometimes. Then I will ink the Sisu and pop the Tamatoa. And now I'm going to start pushing lore. They have more cards than me. Just want to buy time for my dime to kill them. Be prep. Alright. Glad I quested with Scuttle, I guess. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Okay. That's a good draw. Okay. That's good. Problem is I can't. I think the answer is Flaversham. Just because I didn't want to ink either of them. Okay. This. Activate. As long as they don't find dime in the next turn or two, we'll probably win. But that's maybe a tall ask. We do also need to draw some threats. Tough game. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that one could do it. Don't have another answer. That B-Prep turn really did us in. Most of these decks are only playing like one or so B-Preps. So you don't usually expect to get it on you. This Fishbone draw was basically dead, which is unfortunate. So they have one turn to answer the bell. They do have plenty of ways to do it in their deck, so I would expect them to be able to do that. But if they can't, we do win. All right. They can. All right. It's not bad. We don't have much time. I need to answer this immediately. Sisu does not do that. Scuttle. Whiff. Okay. Rough game, rough game. Oh, that's death. All right. Well played. Okay, on the play versus Ruby Amber, Elrathian, who is kind of my arch nemesis. He has basically destroyed me every time we've played. But this hand is good, so maybe not this time. I'm going to keep Scuttle just because it's ink. But yeah, obviously having Flourish on Popsicle, one jump is kind of the nuts. Happy to Ink Medallion waits here. If I need another item, I can always sack Fishbone, and that's more likely to be useful in my opinion. Scuttle could also find us an item. Mulan. Not surprising with the new pile of characters that come in damaged. The healing strategy with Rapunzel and Julieta in Ruby Amber is certainly very strong these days. Lumiere, nice tech for our deck. Yeah, I think I've got time. I'll just play Flaversham first. Inking Julieta. Okay, because they have a second one. Makes sense. Not exposing Lumiere. So I'm going to play Fishbone, ink one jump, sack Fishbone, draw, then probably play Brawl. Yeah, we're far enough away from this, and we have a bunch of FTKs in hand already. So the question is whether I shoot Julieta or Lumiere. And I think it's going to be Lumiere because that turns off some of my other characters. And now I can hit Julieta with Sisu. Something like these two next turn could be a good play depending on what they do. Super Goof. All right. Fair enough. Tamatoa. I think I'll just lead on this. Happy to get a Popsicle. Don't necessarily feel the need to play it this turn. Can just do that next turn. I'll Ink Scuttle. And then just shoot down Julieta while I can. And I won't expose Flaversham. Seems too important here. Opponent's in kind of a tough spot because this Grammatala actually does body their board pretty thoroughly. Expect maybe Mufasa here. I think Mufasa is very beatable though. 8 lore. It's not 0, but it's not that scary. Okay. I'm going to draw. Draw 2 more. Any more opponents that they have are going to be live here because I'm going to turn this Grammatala sideways. This could be good next turn. I don't think I'm just going to hold back too much for it, but could end up being quite good. So the question is what I shoot here. I think probably Super Goof just because it can remove something on my board while getting lore. Whereas Rapunzel, say they want to draw with it, then they can't get lore. Like if they come into Grammatala, they trade with Grammatala, play Rapunzel, at least they don't go up to 10 lore. Whereas Super Goof could come into Grammatala, go up to 10 lore, and to draw 3 this turn. I'm totally fine with them playing Rapunzel because the Sisu is going to just absolutely destroy them, I think. Yeah. Yep. This is going to be a big Sisu turn for sure. Boom. I don't need the Fishbone. Tamatoa can get back items. I may want the ink. Alright, Maui's annoying, but not really a problem. Doesn't quest for anything. Feels like a race that we are very much winning. I'll trade there to protect my Sisu, because obviously this quest for 3. And once again, happy to just ink a Fishbone. Alright, yep, I think this one's about locked up, because they're just not playing any threats at this point that we care about. Yeah, let's put a diamond play. And that'll do it. Hey, thank you for watching. That was Red Blue. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. Overall, I think the deck is very, very good. It seems to me like it's likely to be one of the tier 1 decks, if not, you know, possibly tier 1.5, tier 2 as the format evolves and maybe becomes hostile to it. But certainly it seems to be the most popular deck online right now. And I expect that it will be popular going forward, at least for the first few weeks of the format. It does a really, really, really good job of beating up on random mid-range decks, the various old sorts of red-purple decks, the purple-steel decks. It crushes blue-steel, I think, for the most part. It goes pretty close to some of the discard decks. Having access to Brawl and being able to remove Ursula and Diablo seems to be really, really important. But if they're able to stick one of those things and you can't answer it quickly, it can be a problem. Obviously, Bucky can be a problem. Prince John can be a problem because they're hard to remove. With that said, it's nice that Sisu can remove those things without being susceptible to Ursula, which was a problem before, where you would try to get to B prep on turn 7, and then of course they would just take it with Ursula, so you wouldn't be able to do that. I'm not sure if you're behind or ahead of the discard decks. It seems pretty close to me at this point. And obviously, if anyone tries to do something super, super aggressive, you might be behind that. There is a red-purple aggressive variant that I do think beats this deck. But yeah, for sure, definitely seems like a solid deck. There's certainly room for improvement. Things like Vitalosphere is an option I've seen people play. You could play lower to the ground Sisus, either the 3-drop or the 4-drop, to possibly shift Sisu earlier, which seems pretty good to me. Definitely a ton of options to explore, and I'm curious to see where the deck goes. And I hope you liked it, and I'll catch you next time.